Hi everyone. Today I decided to talk about the greater or higher dimensions. The one beyond the seventh is just really hard to comprehend with my limited 3D brain in my current incarnation. So I can sense that I know it, I can sense that it's familiar to me, but it's really hard to understand it because the greater the dimension, the different from ours, and uh, there's just such a greater awareness, and there are of course different um, rules, different physics, different everything. So if you are very used to the 3D and you need to explain something and talk in the 3D sense of world, it's really hard to comprehend and then also to share it. Sometimes it stays in a certain feeling. So I will talk about only those that I learned to kind of understand, and through my journeys I explored some of the places within those greater awareness dimensions. And I would start with the fifth because that's really easily understandable. And I love to travel to the fifth dimension because there are endless parallel realms, endless parallel worlds, because that's the dimension where we already create our own reality. So this is the ideal afterlife where we, have our spirit homes, or our homes that we co-inhabit with our beloved ones, with our soulmates, with our soul family. And there are places, it took me some time to understand that there are actually places that we co-create together. So it's like a larger group that creates these worlds, or we create it just with a few other souls, or we create it just for ourselves. And from my experience, I have several ones that I created myself, but then I have also these that we co-create with my soul group, my soul family. And there are also various versions. They're actually the original versions of this planet. Uh, because here we play within a certain space and time, but their time is more creatively approached. So we are not like born and we don't die, but we just are, and we can change into anything that we like. So we can transform into another version of ourselves, another humanoid being, another, for example, an animal, or we can transform into a plant, or we can just become the air, we can merge with certain elements. So the elements and nature and all that is there, but it's omnipresent. It doesn't die or is born. It's just always there, and it can change into anything. And when we create our own worlds, it's really like in 3D when we create our homes, we kind of imbue it with our spirit. And I quickly understood that the nature is a part of me. It's like an expanded me. But then I can invite certain souls, like we invite our dear ones to our home. I can invite certain souls to come into my world and to show up as whatever they please, of course. But sometimes the world sets certain rules. Like in my world, I accept only unicorns and dragons, for example. Or in my world, only these certain humanoid species and birds can exist. So then the soul takes the form that you allow it. But usually it's just free, like that you can show up as anything you like. So we have different variations of ourselves, limitless variations of ourselves. And then the worlds we co-create, it's really fascinating because I've seen various versions, for example, of my hometown, Prague. And I describe this in several of my novels, especially the Merkaba mystery, where I describe my experience with traveling to one of these parallel Prague versions in the original 3D reality, as I call it, and also mixed with the fifth dimensional versions of Prague that I visit during my inner journeys and in dreams, since I since I know, so since childhood. And there are different versions of different cities as well, and different versions of the planet. But the universe or the space, the cosmos, is different there. It's not about, again, the space and time. It's more about that you think of a place and you're there. So it's like a world and a world and a world. Like they're just endless worlds, and there are certain codes, as I understand it, to different worlds. So you have to have a code to that world, which if your soul is at home there, if it belongs there, it automatically knows the code or the symbol that that realm uses. For example, the fairy, there are different fairy realms, various fairy and elven realms, and they each have a different code. So each, soul has to kind of know it to be able to visit there. So in the fifth dimension, we can work creatively with space and time. It's not fixed. We can change our appearance, we can change our surroundings, or we visit these parallel worlds where we follow certain rules of the creators in the fifth dimension, or the creators of these worlds. And this is really the place in the afterlife where we are free to create our reality or co-create our reality. And we work with the fourth dimension, which is it's the dimension of time travel and of creatively working with time. We can create time capsules. It's, for example, to preserve a whole era or one moment or 1 year, and we preserve it kind of like a photograph or a video capture, but we capture it with everything, all the sensations. We kind of can relive it again and again and again. But when I focus on this simulation or this false copy of the original multi-dimensional world, I see that it has a copy of the 2D, the 3D, the 4D, and partly the fifth dimension, but it's kind of like diverted from the original creation or the original multidimensionality. So it's like a separate thing, and it cannot really tap into sixth dimension, seventh dimension, and such. And they have kind of a false first dimension as well. It's like this false light, and it's really interesting to me when I visualize all these different dimensions. I see it as a torus field, as a toroidal field of ever-flowing wisdom, love, life, and the dimension connects one to the other. It's like a complex field, energy field. It could be compared maybe also to an onion, to layers of onion. All these different dimensional layers are kind of dependent on one another, and it's just beautiful.